Hey everybody, welcome back to A Glittery Life. Okay, so you guys have all been waiting for this video and I've been dragging my feet, somewhat intentionally and somewhat not intentionally. One, my work schedule has been bananas. Two, I thought this palette would sell out, so I didn't think I would have time to make a video on the Tropic palette, Le Tropic palette. And obviously there's a lot of controversy over this palette, which is so weird to me because it's eyeshadow. And I mean, controversy in makeup, like I get it sometimes. Like I get it. I definitely get it why there's controversy, but sometimes I think there's drama just to like create drama, or there's drama because people are just like haters or hating on something they can't have. And then sometimes I think there's like really valid reasons to have drama. So I have a lot to say about this palette. First off, I don't know if the formula is different. Let me start there. What I will say is, in my opinion, the cream matte is not different. It's exactly the same as like the cream mattes that we've been seeing since. So the first time we saw cream mattes was the Star palette, then Leela, and then Sunset. And actually, I think the cream mattes got better in between Star and Leela. Leela, when that palette came out, I thought, oh my gosh, these... Oh no, I'm sorry, it was Sunset came out first. Well, which one came out first, Sunset or Leela? I guess... Now I'm so confused. I guess Sunset came out before Leela. And the cream mattes in Sunset I thought were better than they were in the Star palette. And then Leela, I think, is the best palette she makes. So Tropic... I do think the cream mattes are the same quality as that you can find. Now the mattes that are in the 28s and that are in the Quints, that's a different formula. That's her early formula of mattes, which I actually love those. Some of them are sheer mattes, and so it's great for blending, so that makes me really happy. In terms of the metallics, in terms of, what do we have? Exotic and Tiger Lily. I think they're different. I don't have any confirmation that they're different. But I do think that they perform differently. But what I do think about them is that they're sheer but very buildable, and you can get the crazy color payoff that you want. It's just not the same as it is, especially in the 28s. I think the metallics in the 28s I think are just like unparalleled. But what I will say is I do wonder if there is some strategy behind that, because a lot of people are not going to gravitate towards wearing Exotic and Tiger Lily at full like volume, full pigmentation. I know I'm especially one of those people. I'm not going to be wearing those across the lid. It's just not my style. Now I love them for like a lower lash line blowout. So I do think that this palette works for a lot more people because they're sheer, buildable. Whereas I think if they were like that full crazy pigment, I probably wouldn't even wear them. So I will say that. I think that Mint Frost, the sparkling, is the same quality that we've seen before from sparkling. And then Gusti and Limoncello. Gusti's also a sparkling, but honestly, I feel like it should be more in the duochrome category. So Gusti is a duochrome, so is Limoncello, but she has put Gusti in the sparkling category. So, I mean, who am I to argue with that? But I definitely would classify it more as a duochrome. And then 10 of the cream mattes. So there's plenty of videos that have swatches of these shadows and all that kind of stuff. So I don't know that I necessarily need to swatch them, but I do want to talk about some tips on using, oh my gosh, why am I like blanking out? Tiger Lily and Exotic. So let's do some swatches of those. And then people are also mentioning that they're hitting hard pan on these, or they're having hard pan issues. That happens when there's too much oil on your fingers, and that also happens when you use a dirty brush. Anytime you stick a dirty brush into shadow, you are running the risk of transferring like oil and grease and like just bacteria and cells and all that kind of stuff. So, which is why you should wash your brushes. But I'm not having that like hard pan effect. In fact, yeah, I see it happening in the stores, like at Sephora, like they're basically like greased over. You can't hardly even like swatch them. But I do want to talk about, I'm going to swatch these two for you and talk about them. So I'm going to just, so you can see, like, on the finger, you can see all of that like pigmentation. And this is one swipe, one swipe. Now, those are different. I mean, I don't have any evidence other than just my opinion that that's a different formula because it looks different than other formulas, and I've got every single shadow palette she's ever done. So, but it's a little bit more wearable in my opinion. So now I'm going to show you how to like build these up. I'm going to just get a little bit more on my fingers. And the cool thing about pressed pigments is that the warmth of your finger actually helps intensify the color. So I'm going to just like press this over and over, and all I had is just a tiny little bit more on my finger. And I'm going to do the same to with Exotic, and I'm going to just like press it in and just let the warmth like of my finger like heat that up. So you can see you can get the color payoff that we're used to with Natasha. So when people are saying you can't get the color payoff with this, that's BS. You just actually have to work with them. And remember, because it's a pressed pigment, fingers are always going to be a really great application. And then I'm going to swatch Mint Frost for you because that one, people have had some like issues with that one. So you can see right there, it's very, very pigmented. It's really pretty. I love that color. I think it's really pretty. And actually, I'm going to swatch Laguna. I mean, that's a crazy matte like payoff in terms of like color, but I want to show you what Mint Frost looks like over Laguna because it's like makes Laguna so pretty and so wearable. Oh gosh, look at that. Like really pretty for summer. So I could actually see myself doing some of this for like a little bit of a mermaid eye, but I definitely am a little bit more of that like neutrals or like purples or like plums, sunset eye. So I just did want to speak to like, yes, you can get the color payoff. Yes, they work. But I think working with these, you're going to want to like work with your fingers and really kind of like let the heat of your finger like just warm that up. But what I like is that you can stick a brush in these, get product on this brush, and then for a lower lash line, look how pretty that's going to be. That's with the Wayne Goss, which number is this? 05 pencil brush. So, I mean, you can really diffuse that, which I think under the eye, it's better to have it a little bit softer, but still very pigmented and really pretty. This is, let me get a wipe. So this is what I love about the Tropic palette. The Tropic palette is actually a neutrals palette. It's one of the most beautiful neutrals palettes I've ever seen, and it has like the perfect colors. So it's a neutrals palette with 5 pops of color. The other thing that I think is fantastic about this palette is the way that it's laid out. So your column is your complete eye look. So you've got 2 neutrals and you can accent with your pop of color. So that is how you wear it. So if you're like, how do I wear Laguna? Well, you wear it with the 2 neutrals that go with it. Try not to blind you guys with this light, and try not to drop this palette. So every bright pop of color has 2 neutrals that are the coordinating shades. So you can do this whole top, like bottom row right here of neutrals, which is the top row on video, but the bottom row on the palette. Those can all be your lower lash line pop of color. This middle row can be your lid, and then this row right here, which is the top row in the palette or the bottom row in this video, can be your crease or transition color. Or you can go crease, transition, lid. There's really just like so many like endless options, but if you're wondering what to do with these crazy colors, you just wear them in their row. And then all of a sudden guesswork is taken out of like how to do this like pop of color, like what coordinates with it. Now, the thing I love about the top 2 rows or the middle and bottom row in this video. What I love about those is that those combinations are endless. This is just the perfect neutrals. Like here's like an amazing sunset eye with like with like limoncello and gusti on it. So I just think in terms of like what I like to wear, 10 of the shades are just perfect for me. And then 5 of them are fun for looks or fun for spring and summer. As a reminder too, Natasha's shadows are water resistant. So this palette is going to be great for your vacation, for spring break, for festival season, for your honeymoon, for summer vacation, for swimming at the lake, the ocean, your pool, whatever, because the shadows are water resistant. The other thing that's important to remember too with her shadows is that they are anti-aging. So over time, they are going to decrease the texture on your eyelids. I just slammed my elbow down a little bit hard on my table right now on my desk. So they are going to put moisture back into the eyelids instead of taking moisture out of the eyelids and dehydrating them. So, and I just think like, I mean, let's be real. Who does this? Who does these? Like, that's some serious pigment. The other thing I like about this palette is that you don't have to just follow the columns. You can do whatever you want. Because of all these neutrals, you just have so many options. And like I said, you can get the full coverage of those brights on those lids. It just is going to mean packing them and building them up a little bit. Or you can diffuse them and shear them out if you're like, I like the idea of a bright, but I need to do it somewhat wearable. I get that. If I'm doing a bright look, it's got to be really wearable. I can't do those like crazy like rainbow bright, you know, I just can't do it. I'm too old for it. I got to stay in my lane. Got to swagger responsibly. So same as our other palettes, $129, 15 shadows, breaks down to $8.60 a shadow. So that is a full-size shadow. These are full-size shadows. I don't even want to waste my breath talking about volume versus mass. Like you guys should have that figured out. Go back to school or like just Google it, but that is different. So they are full size, same size as the rest of Natasha's shadow pans. So I'm trying to think if there's any other questions that I'm not addressing about this palette. Okay, you know what I will say is, do you need this palette? No, you don't. Do we need any of them? Do we need anything? No, we do not. If you are a Natasha fan, this palette will not disappoint you. In fact, I think you will love it. I am loving like your comments. Like anytime I've posted pictures of this on Instagram at @TrishaLee_W, you guys have left really favorable, really positive comments. So I know that people are loving this. I really enjoy it, especially those mattes, and then Gusti and Limoncello. I've worn those a lot. But I really do. I think you need it. No. What I do think you need is Lila. I've done a whole video on Lila, so I won't like bore you on this palette, but if you don't have Lila and you're a Natasha fan, I think this is the best palette she's ever done. Hopefully Sunset palette will come back in stock at some point, so y'all can get that one too, because I love that one and it's so beautiful and so many of you want it. This is a great companion palette to Sunset though. So just so you know, if you have Sunset, start trying to like mix and match some of these shades with Sunset and I think you'll be really excited. Just also too worth noting that if you turn this over, there's little holes right here. So you stick a pin there and you can easily depop these and pop them out if this packaging is not to your liking. So, I think that's all I have to say on the Tropic palette. If you're not into it, you're not into it. Don't get it. But it is a beautiful neutrals palette. So if you like neutrals palettes and you like Natasha's creamy matte formula, then you will not be disappointed with this palette. And I think you should definitely get it. So leave your questions about the palette down below. Yeah, and I'll try to answer them. So anyway, thanks you guys for watching. Bye. See you next time.